once found myself in a situation where I had to choose between a £5 t-shirt and a £20 t-shirt. The similarity, they were both cute and trendy, exactly what I was looking for. It wasn't this t-shirt, by the way. The £5 t-shirt was from a brand that's known for its unsustainable practices, and the £20 one was from a brand that's known to be more sustainable. Ethically, the choice here was clear. Financially, not so much. This really made me question, is sustainability really a privilege? Hi everyone, my name is Shambhavi and I'll be talking about who can really afford sustainability, and I'll be examining this through the socioeconomic barriers to sustainable fashion. Before I get on to the main parts, let's define what fast fashion is and what sustainable fashion is, apart from the social media and pop culture definitions of these. Fast fashion is more into talking about high-speed production, fast consumption, and quick disposal. So you're purchasing them again and again. This is partly because of lower quality clothing as well. Sustainable fashion is more about conscious consumption, clothes that are made to last and are made with higher quality. A staggering 0.6% of an average t-shirt price is what is paid to the workers making these t-shirts. Where does all the other money go? Mainly to corporate profits and a little bit into their costs, but a very high percentage is just these manufacturing industries earning money off of our payments and the labor wages. We talk a lot about recycling, right? Less than 1% of clothing today is recycled. This leads to 1.92 million tons of clothing waste that is generated annually that ends up in landfills, which again also leads to air pollution. Let's talk a little bit of theory here, which I hope isn't that boring, but Marx talks about class division and capitalism. He talks about how there's the upper class, the ruling class, as well as the working class. The ruling class is the people who are owning and operating these manufacturing industries and earning profits out of it, and the working class is the the workers who are selling their labor to make a living. This kind of sets the base of the economic political landscape, where there's a clear division in the upper class and the lower class, where because this is the base of the socioeconomic landscape, it clearly makes a divide here of who can afford what and who can really do what. This leads into my next point, which is false consciousness and individual responsibility. Especially today, there's a lot of narratives of, oh, you should really be sustainable, and if you're not able to be or make sustainable choices, that's your problem, that's your fault. But really, it's these systematic differences and unfairness that Marx talks about in the class division as well, which really stops you from making these choices. Then I talked about capitalism and Marx's theory. Capitalism is a lot about overproduction and overconsumption, because the more you produce, the more you sell, the more money you make. How would capitalism benefit from sustainability? Because then we're talking about prolonged usage and less frequent purchases. Well, then comes the topic of greenwashing. If you don't know what greenwashing is, it quite literally means when you look at green tags when you're going into shopping, unless they're trademarked by like fair trade or other regulatory bodies, these are often a way that companies use quite literally a green tag to make you to want to purchase them. As someone, maybe because I am environmentally inclined, I look at something, maybe back to the t-shirt example, if the £20 one had a green eco-friendly tag, I would be inclined to purchasing them. But more often than not, if they're not using actual trademarks, these companies just use these tags to entice you to buy them. They earn the same profit out of it. The workers are not getting paid. They're not using sustainable resources. They're just making money off of my choices. Here is a graph. I will not get into the numbers, but this is the projected increase in carbon dioxide emissions within the clothing industry, projected until 2030. You can see there's a clear increase in projections of emissions, which is why it reiterates why this is important to discuss today. I talked a little bit about the choice part, right? So that brings me to the illusion of choice. Because there is so much now of you should be sustainable and you should be making sustainable choices, it puts the choice really to the consumer, that it's your choice, that you should be making this choice of being sustainable. But realistically, it's not financially viable for most of us. Apart from finances as well, it's not, if you go into high street, most of the brands aren't sustainable. If you are short on time, you're not going to run to a boutique store that's expensive and sustainable. Time-wise and finances-wise, it's just easiest for us to end up in these unsustainable brands. So it's this balance the people have to make between being financially sustainable, environmentally sustainable. I would love to buy that 20-pound t-shirt, but I cannot afford it. I want to buy a meal deal after that because, well, that's all I can afford. So fast fashion really is affordable, it's trendy, and it's readily available, which is why all of us end up in buying these kind of things. So a similar point is how fast fashion and sustainable fashion is becoming a status symbol, especially due to the rise of social media and influencer culture. There is a push towards making that sustainable choice, which is a good thing. That increases education of people wanting to buy sustainable things, and they better understand why they should be doing it. But the problem isn't that they don't know that they have to do it, it's just that there are other barriers to it. Within the social media part, there is this sense of if you're sustainable, you're the best, sort of, and that narrative is increasingly concerning because on one hand you're saying that, but on the other hand you're not doing anything to make it more accessible to people. And because it's becoming a status symbol, that is reiterating the social gap between people who are able to purchase sustainable fashion and people who are not. So fast fashion really reinforces the social divide. These clothes, since fast fashion has revolutionized the fashion industry, are not being made to last. They're being made from the sole purpose that I will be buying it again and again because it's not going to last and I'll be feeding into their profits. And again, social media influencers have also increased the stigma of repeating outfits, which contradicts to the fact that they're promoting sustainable practices because they're earning off of the algorithms. But this is kind of really what the issue is, in that on one hand, social media influencers, which have a huge impact on all of our daily lives, are telling you to be sustainable, but they're also shaming you from re-wearing a t-shirt that you wore to a conference last week. But a question you might have right now is, if fast fashion is allowing me to buy trendy clothes, and that looks similar to that 20-pound t-shirt, doesn't that reduce the gap? Because I'm able to wear something that the Marx upper class is able to wear. Wouldn't that reduce the social gap because you're not looking as different? Well, the problem isn't that I can wear what other upper class people are wearing. It's that what I'm wearing is less durable. I'm frequently repurchasing. And also recently there have been news headlines of top key more unsustainable fast fashion brands who have been caught using harmful carcinogenic materials. Now this brings us to 2 points. First is that because I'm wearing fast fashion, I will be wearing clothes with these harmful materials, but also it's about the workers who are working in the industries and manufacturing houses who are producing these. I'm only wearing a fraction of it if I am. They are working on a daily basis with these toxins. It's coming into contact with their hands, they're inhaling them, which then leads to other problems in their life as well. This again reiterates the clear divide with people who are underpaid and on the lower class, and then the upper class in Marxist theory. But I blabbered a lot about what the issue is. What can we really do? Like, we know the issue is in the system and not my choice because I don't really have a choice. Leaving from here today, what are you going to do about it? You cannot really make a change when you're going to high street buying a new blazer. Well, the EU has done something similar wherein they're subsidizing ethical brands, and they're also strengthening the regulations and within manufacturing and ensuring that labor rights are taken care of. And more importantly, I think it's important that we increase accountability to corporate and the brands that are manufacturing these clothing and not on consumers, because as consumers, we really don't have a choice here. Thank you so much for listening, and the floor is open for questions.